Hi, I'm Ashwini. So I have here with me Todd Vickers, author of 3 books, and he's currently in India. Hi Todd.
Hi, Ashwini.
Since we are talking about beauty and beach and such beautiful place, I can only think of love.
Mm.
Most of us fall in love, but it's not always possible that we find the perfect partner. And I personally think that finding that ideal perfect partner is just not possible. It's not possible. So we all have to adjust, not even adjust, you know, learn to live along with other persons. It so happens that we are stuck with that ideal.
Well, we're not stuck with it, because nothing says that we have to obey it.
It always happens that we have this idea of a perfect person that we want to live with, and then when it doesn't match, we are like, no, I've made the biggest mistake of my life, and it's all over.
Well, I think one of the issues is that people have an idea not only what the ideal partner is going to be, which I think is highly doubtful. I mean, first of all, where have they ever seen this partner? Have they ever had it before? Have they ever seen anybody else have it? And
No, they always see everybody else have it except them.
I don't think so. What I think actually is happening is that they're imagining other people are having it. If you really think somebody has it, you should invite them on vacation for a week and see what they're really like. Because we come out of imagination and get into what's really going on with people.
No doubt, but the grass always looks greener on the other side. And even if you call them for a week of vacation or maybe a month, you always find that maybe their life is better than mine, right?
But you see, the thing is right there, you're exposing the imagination. Maybe. And so the thing is that what people do is they take their idea of love and they imagine other people living it. And so they use some fact, nobody takes some ugly couple and projects their idea of love on it. They take some couple that really has circumstances that they envy, and then they project their idea of love on it. But the thing is that, you're going to love in the here and now with the people you're with, which I think is the point you're making, which I would agree with. But there's nothing that obligates us to become prisoners of an ideal, especially if that ideal is either impossible or highly unlikely. How many people thought they had it and were wrong?
Many
people. A lot of people. And so in the middle of some overwhelming rush of emotion, and that it's easy to take all that wonderful energy and pour it into imagination, imagining a future, imagining this is going to continue, and the truth is you have no idea what's going to happen. And that's part of the adventure. But the thing is my approach is, like I said, the caravan of love is, would you want somebody to stay with you if they didn't want to be with you? No. Me either.
That's misery for both.
But to give someone the freedom to come, to go, in other words, to be a friend. And your friend can come and go when they want. Your friend can take a journey without you. Your friend can fall in love with other people. But that doesn't mean they're not your friend anymore. So when we hold up some idea of real love should look like this, life has no obligation to live up to that idea. None whatever. And we see so many failures. The fact that we don't question that idea is astounding.
True. So you say there is this idea of what love is or what the other person should be.
Mm-hmm.
And so do you think this ideas, you said it's a thought, right? You haven't felt it, you haven't experienced it, or it's all a maybe question. And so do you think this arise from the movies or?
I think very much so. I think movies and music and religion and pornography and love stories and all these things that we've been on this input, this kind of passive input, ideas about love have been coming in. Rather than us discovering what's possible with people, we have a template like, oh, if you love me, you're supposed to be like this.
So these templates arise from what we grow up watching.
It's difficult to be absolutely positive, but they seem very much involved with the past. If you have a point of reference for something, and it's something you haven't experienced in your own life, where is it coming from? It's coming from stories, it's coming from what we've imagined about other people, TV, movies. If you really love me, that you will follow this, and they've got some system of belief that, you follow these instructions, and this is supposed to be what love is, as if love can be decreed simply by doing certain things. So I think one of the things is people often envy other people's circumstances, not their affections. This is one thing. And then the other thing, we take some experience that we've had. It's such a beautiful experience, we think, well, if we could maintain that experience indefinitely, if we could create it at will, then we think, well, that would be love, is to maintain that good feeling that we like. But any experience, particularly an emotional experience, it's like the weather. It comes and goes. And would we want tomorrow's sunset to look exactly like today's? No. And it couldn't, even if we wanted it. Even if we said, yes, that's what I want. This is what a sunset should be. Every day it would still be different. So if we pick one that we really like and go, well, every other sunset is inferior to that, based on what? The judgment is totally arbitrary that this is the real sunset and all others, they are inferior. And I think this is the problem people get in with love. They take some particular experience, assuming they ever had it. If they had the experience and they think, well, this is what it's supposed to be, and anything other than that is not it. Well, that's putting love in chains. It's saying what love cannot do. And I don't want to put love in chains.
Maybe even if you wanted to, you can't.
Or put love in chains?
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a price for that.
True. So there is this particular, I won't say, don't want to generalize it based on regions like Western and Indian, but there are few people who has this idea of love, and they would do anything to be free and explore, and to just find that ideal person. And then there are other people who, for example, are very conservative, who are bound into a relationship, and they say, okay, I've chosen this, so whatever happens, this is my life, and no, there is no out.
Well, people are certainly free to make those kind of choices, and I would never try to say someone shouldn't have that freedom. Not for me. Not for me. First of all, I don't want to be a link in a chain that binds somebody else to suffering. And I think oftentimes people just get in something and they stay there because they don't know what else to do. So it may be difficult, but at least it's known.
No, most of times they know what else is there out there. We are in the age of internet. They know everything that's happening out there, but I think 50% customs, 50% it's about the society. That they just don't have that guts to come out of it and question something that, why is this injustice?
Well, I think they do come out of it. And that's why there's so much prostitution. That's why there's so much adultery. In other words, there's a great deal of two-facedness within the custom. And it's one of the reasons why it's so difficult for people to make space to legitimize prostitution. They don't want to legitimize it because they don't want it coming out in the open. They want it to stay hidden. So they can pretend to be conservative, and then when nobody's looking, sneak off over here and live their secret life. I mean, how many scandals have we heard where there's, big moralists and preachers and...
So exactly the reason. When somebody questions or comes out of it, it becomes a scandal. It's not considered normal.
There are two kinds of scandal. One is where one person comes out and just simply says, I wish to go beyond the custom. I don't want to be bound to it. And they're honest about it. And the other is somebody getting caught. And oftentimes the person who gets caught, regardless of how much they valued the experience, they have a tendency to deny its value, to say it was a mistake. So rather than exploring that honestly, they reject it in order to maintain their respectability. Well, from my point of view, the person who's willing to risk, even the society saying, hey, this is not correct, but willing to live openly in their truth, this has much more integrity than hypocrisy. You can be following all kinds of instructions and be miserable. Look at suicide. Even suicide amongst people who have a lot of good circumstances.
We think they have a lot of good circumstances.
From the outside, yes. But when you look on the, we can't know what was going on inside of them, but what we know is if someone terminated their life, we have reason to think that they were unhappy, that they were dissatisfied. Look at all the drug abuse. I mean, if you're habitually and destructively altering your state of mind, it suggests that you don't really like your ordinary state of mind, doesn't it? I mean, even if that isn't the whole picture, that should not be dismissed. And oftentimes, whether it's drugs or alcohol, people are finding a way out of their habits of mind. They have an excuse to explore. They can blame it on alcohol and drugs. They can get drunk and then do something and they go, oh, I wouldn't normally do that, but I had been drinking. And
it's an excuse to do something out of your
Haven't
normal habits of mind.
Haven't you seen it before?
Yeah, I have seen it.
Yeah, I've seen it a lot. I don't like to draw a circle around which I say beyond this and no more. Beyond this, we shall not go. Not when we're talking about love, not when we're talking about human beings. I mean, just think of where our grandparents were 100 years ago, our great-grandparents, and how much more freedom we enjoy today. I mean, how much freedom are we denying ourselves just because of the custom that we were raised in? Whether it be West or East, makes no difference. If the limit is arbitrary, why not question it? We're going to avoid violence. We're going to avoid coercion. We're going to avoid being reckless. For example, those kinds of activities that spread disease. We're going to be careful to not do that, just like we're careful cooking our food. We're careful driving. We're careful. So, and then deceit. If we avoid these things, then the world is wide open for us to explore. I think one of the things we have to acknowledge is that society and family, they have an immense amount of power to influence us. It's a coercive power. It's the ability to make people do what they wouldn't otherwise do. When somebody's family threatens them, to reject them, even to disapprove of them, that can be very, very painful. So if you're going to embrace freedom beyond the custom, then you have to be willing also to pay that price, whether it be with family or friends or even employment. It's one of the reasons why people have so many secrets. In the West, there's a cliche. It says, we're only as sick as our secrets. And secrets create a lot of sickness, a lot of hiding. Just think, the people who lived as we do now, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, they did it in secret. Now we can do it openly. Well, let's hope that we will create something better for future generations through our bravery and our willingness to explore.
I certainly hope so. Though I don't always... No, I have seen society and customs are not always coercive and bad. But they can be, and they are in some places. And reaches them, this message. And thank you so much for sharing.
Well, let's give society credit where credit's due. Let's give custom credit where credit's due. The thing about custom is when you have something that you can count on being the same, it creates a sense of stability. When you have police and you have a certain amount of civilization where you don't have to worry about being attacked walking down the street and your things aren't constantly being stolen, and you can accumulate a little bit of money and time, and then you can afford maybe to go to school or to send your kids to school. And then these people have time to start questioning things that we wouldn't be able to question if we didn't have, if we're constantly struggling to survive, we wouldn't have time for these kinds of questions. So society actually creates the circumstance for those people to be safe enough to go beyond it.
Very different perspective, and
Yeah.
completely agree.
So we don't want to abandon society. What we want to do is make it better. But as we step beyond the limits that society has ordained, society will react, just like they reacted to our ancestors who are our benefactors today, who dared to step outside the tradition and educate women, to stop witch burning, or to stop slavery, or to say that women should get to vote. You know, all these things went against custom. And now it's our turn.
So that's what we think, what the society is and what our habit of mind is. So that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. For more such videos, log on to www.Vivriti.org or subscribe to our YouTube channel. Bye.